The truth can be dangerous. A seemingly harmless post, a click on a screen, and for one woman in Milwaukee, it would cost her everything. On November 15, 2023, in the quiet hum of the evening, Jennifer didn't know that her decision to speak out would send shockwaves through her life, and lead to an unimaginable loss. Tonight, we unravel the chilling events that begin with a single post and end in a fiery tragedy. A life gone, consumed by flames, and a question that haunts everyone involved: who would go to such extremes to silence the truth? Imagine this: you're sitting at home, an ordinary night like any other. The world outside is calm. But as your fingers tap the screen, you're about to expose a secret, one buried deep beneath the surface. You don't think about the consequences, because why would you? It's just a post. A simple truth. But sometimes, the truth isn't just a reflection of reality, it's a weapon. And Jennifer's truth would be a weapon that no one saw coming. This is Jennifer's story, and it all began with the truth, but would it end in silence? Jennifer was a woman of strength, a woman who fought for what she believed in. She spoke up when others remained silent, but what she didn't realize was that some truths carry a cost, one that's far greater than she could have imagined. A post she shared on social media, revealing something that had been hidden for years, would set in motion a devastating chain of events. She never thought her message, a cry for justice, would end with her life in danger. Yet, as the night wore on, as her post spread like wildfire, a darker reality began to unfold. The people who had the most to lose from her revelation were now watching, and they wouldn't let the truth remain uncovered.
Welcome to Shocking True Crime. Thanks to all our viewers and subscribers for your support. Stay with us for daily updates on the most shocking true crime stories. Don't forget to subscribe.
But what drove someone to commit such a horrific act, to silence Jennifer in the most brutal way? Was it truly just about the secret she exposed? Or was there something deeper, something far more terrifying, that no one saw coming? This is the story of Jennifer's final days. Her battle, her voice, her truth. And the price she paid for it. Jennifer had always been a woman who believed in honesty above all else. To her, the truth was sacred, a light in a world too often clouded by lies and deception. She was a free spirit, with an open heart, constantly working to make her community a better place. Whether it was through volunteering, speaking at local events, or simply offering a listening ear to those in need, Jennifer gave of herself unconditionally. Her passion for truth-telling wasn't just a choice, it was a calling, one she felt compelled to live out every day. Before the fateful post, Jennifer lived a life grounded in love for her family and friends. She had a steady job, helping underprivileged children and families, and an unshakable belief that truth and transparency could bring about meaningful change. But like many who stand for something larger than themselves, she didn't realize how fragile that conviction could be in a world that often thrives on secrets. She never imagined that the very trait that made her a beacon of hope to so many would put her at risk. Jennifer's decision to post the secret wasn't made lightly. It was a call for justice, something that had been brewing inside her for months. A secret, one that she had long suspected but had finally uncovered, needed to be exposed. Her post wasn't just about unveiling the truth, it was about standing up for those who couldn't speak for themselves. It was her way of giving a voice to the voiceless, hoping that someone, anyone, would take the story seriously. Little did she know, she was about to step into a world far more dangerous than she could have ever imagined. She posted about a situation she had learned was not only corrupt but also illegal. It involved a close-knit group of people she had trusted, who were hiding something that could ruin their lives if it ever came to light. Jennifer believed that by sharing this truth, she could make a difference, that her actions would lead to the change she so deeply wanted for her community. But what she didn't realize was that in doing so, she was exposing herself to those who would stop at nothing to protect their secrets. Jennifer's post was an act of courage, but it would also mark the final chapter of her life. She believed, in her heart, that the truth would bring justice, but instead, it set off a dangerous chain reaction. The very people she thought she could trust, those closest to her, were now looking at her as a threat. And they were willing to do whatever it took to silence her. Her last days were filled with a sense of urgency and fear that she had never known before. What started as a bold declaration for justice soon turned into an uncontrollable nightmare. The post was seen. The stakes were raised. And Jennifer found herself in a battle not just for the truth, but for her life. But as the threats escalated and the danger loomed closer, she remained steadfast in her belief that exposing the truth was the right thing to do. Unfortunately, that belief would ultimately cost her everything. Jennifer wasn't the only one with secrets. As her post began to spread, the wheels of tension turned quietly in the background. What she didn't know was that, behind closed doors, in dimly lit rooms, a group of people were already plotting their next move. They knew what her words meant, and they knew that, if exposed, their lives would unravel in an instant. As the truth spread through social media, their panic set in. But Jennifer never fully understood the depth of the danger she was facing. Jennifer was not someone to back down from a fight. She had always been outspoken, never afraid to speak her mind or challenge the status quo. In her heart, she believed that the truth would always come out, and that revealing it was the only way to create change. She thought of herself as invincible in her pursuit of justice, fueled by her deep-seated belief that honesty could heal even the deepest wounds. But Jennifer was also naive. She didn't know how far some would go to protect their secrets. She didn't realize that for some, the truth was a threat too dangerous to ignore. As her post went live, Jennifer felt a rush of relief. She thought that by sharing this information, she was finally setting things right. But the relief was short-lived. What she couldn't see was that the storm she had unleashed was already heading straight for her. The people Jennifer had exposed were not strangers. They were part of her world, individuals she had trusted, believed in, and even called friends. The perpetrators were a close-knit group, each with something to lose. Their lives were intertwined with Jennifer's in ways she had never imagined, and the consequences of her post were catastrophic for them. One of the key figures was someone Jennifer had worked with closely in the community, someone she thought was a friend, a confidant. This person, whose motivations remained buried beneath a facade of concern, had more at stake than anyone knew. The secret Jennifer had uncovered wasn't just a mistake or a minor wrongdoing, it was something that could destroy them all. Their reaction was swift and ruthless. They knew that the only way to protect themselves was to silence Jennifer. And they would stop at nothing to do so. But beyond the perpetrators, there were those who loved Jennifer, the people who knew her for who she truly was. They were the ones left in the wake of her loss, struggling to understand how the woman they loved could be taken so violently, so suddenly. Jennifer's family and friends were devastated. Her parents, who had always supported her, were now grappling with the painful realization that their daughter had been targeted simply for doing what she believed was right. They questioned how they could have protected her, how they missed the warning signs. The pain they carried was deep, rooted not just in grief, but in the haunting question, could this have been avoided? Who were these people? And what was it that Jennifer had uncovered, so powerful, that it would cost her everything? The truth was far more dangerous than any of them could have imagined. But now, it was too late for any of them to turn back. As Jennifer's post spread through the digital world, it didn't take long for it to reach the wrong people. What began as a simple act of speaking the truth quickly spiraled into something far darker. The stakes escalated. What Jennifer had thought was a call for justice now became the catalyst for a silent war. She didn't know it yet, but the people she had exposed were watching her every move, ready to do whatever it took to stop her. The truth, once so clear in her mind, was now a dangerous weapon. Soon, the threats began. It started subtly, an anonymous message, a cryptic phone call, but it didn't take long for the fear to creep in. Jennifer's phone buzzed non-stop, each message more menacing than the last. The once comforting sound of her phone now felt like a countdown, a reminder that the people she had trusted were turning against her. Calls from unknown numbers flooded her inbox, but Jennifer, trying to remain calm, ignored them. She thought it would pass. But deep down, she knew something was wrong. She attempted to backtrack, to remove her post, but by then, the damage was done. The fire had already been set. No matter how much she tried to step back from the edge, the danger was closing in, ready to consume her life in the blink of an eye. It was a normal evening. The house stood quietly, unaware of the chaos brewing just beyond its walls. Jennifer sat alone in her living room, her fingers absent-mindedly scrolling through her phone. She had no idea that the post she had shared earlier in the day had set off a chain of events so deadly, it would change her life forever. She felt a familiar sense of urgency, but there was no way to prepare for the storm that was about to hit. Jennifer's day had unfolded like any other. She had gone to work, returned home, and tried to unwind by catching up on messages and social media. But as the hours passed, something felt off. Her phone buzzed more than usual, calls and texts from unknown numbers, all ignored. Her friends and family had begun to sense that something wasn't quite right, but none of them could pinpoint the source of the tension. Little did they know, the danger was already at her doorstep. Then, as night fell, the unthinkable happened. The sound of crackling flames shattered the calm of Jennifer's home. The smell of smoke filled the air, and within moments, the house was ablaze. Jennifer's frantic attempts to escape were cut short as the fire surrounded her. The dark smoke poured out of the windows, as if the house itself was trying to erase the truth she had tried to expose. The flames burned everything, her life, her hopes, and the secrets she had tried so hard to reveal. The fire was more than a tragedy. It was a crime. The destruction of Jennifer's life and her home demanded answers, and the investigation began almost immediately. But the answers didn't come easily. The scene was chaotic, and what seemed like an open and shut case quickly became a tangled mystery. Investigators arrived at the burned house, scouring the wreckage for clues. The evidence pointed to foul play. The fire hadn't been a random accident, it was set deliberately. As the investigators delved deeper, interviews with Jennifer's friends and family revealed unsettling details. Those closest to her spoke of her growing fear in the days leading up to the fire. They recalled her anxieties, her sudden quietness, and the strange calls she had been receiving. They suspected something was off, but none of them could have imagined how dangerous her simple truth had become. As the investigation unfolded, the police zeroed in on a few key suspects. These were people Jennifer knew well, those who had the most to lose from her post. What did they know? What were they hiding? The questions only grew as the investigation continued, and with each passing day, the truth became more elusive. Was this a random act of violence, or was it something far more deliberate, an attempt to silence her at any cost? Just when the case seemed to be falling into place, a new twist emerged, one that no one saw coming. The investigation, which had seemed straightforward, suddenly took a turn that left everyone stunned. The breakthrough came when a detective reviewing nearby surveillance footage made a startling discovery. A camera across the street from Jennifer's house had captured footage of strange vehicles parked near her home on the night of the fire. The vehicles weren't familiar to anyone in the neighborhood, and their appearance just hours before the blaze raised serious questions. It was a clue that couldn't be ignored. As the investigators pieced together more details, it became clear that this was no random act. The pieces of the puzzle were starting to fit together, but they pointed in a direction no one was expecting. It wasn't just a stranger with a grudge, it was someone close to Jennifer, someone who had access to her life and her secrets. The new evidence suggested that someone within her circle had orchestrated this tragedy, manipulating events to keep their own hidden truths buried. The revelation left investigators and those close to Jennifer reeling. It became clear, the danger Jennifer had been facing wasn't just from strangers, it was from those she trusted the most. After weeks of investigation, the police finally closed in on the perpetrator. But the deeper they dug, the more complicated the motive became. It wasn't just about a simple grudge or revenge, it was about something much darker, something no one had expected. The truth came to light when investigators uncovered a shocking connection between Jennifer and someone she had trusted deeply, her close friend, Lisa. Lisa, who had been there for Jennifer through thick and thin, had been hiding a deep, personal involvement in the very secret Jennifer had exposed. Lisa's ties to a corrupt business deal were at the heart of the truth Jennifer had shared, and in her desperation to protect herself, Lisa had orchestrated the fire that ultimately claimed Jennifer's life. The revelation rocked those who knew Lisa. Friends and family, who had always seen her as a caring, loyal person, were left in utter disbelief. The shock of betrayal was impossible to comprehend. Lisa had been Jennifer's confidant, the one person she had trusted with everything. And yet, it was Lisa who had chosen to silence her, to destroy the very woman who had always supported her. What drove Lisa to such extremes? What was so dark about Jennifer's truth that it warranted murder? As the investigation continued, those closest to the case could only wonder how deep the betrayal truly ran. As the case unfolds, the emotional fallout from Jennifer's death continues to ripple through her family and friends. The loss of someone so vibrant, so full of life, left a hole in the hearts of those who loved her.
Welcome to Shocking True Crime. Thanks to all our viewers and subscribers for your support. Stay with us for daily updates on the most shocking true crime stories. Don't forget to subscribe.
The new evidence suggested that someone within her circle had orchestrated this tragedy, manipulating events to keep their own hidden truths buried. The revelation left investigators and those close to Jennifer reeling. It became clear, the danger Jennifer had been facing wasn't just from strangers, it was from those she trusted the most. After weeks of investigation, the police finally closed in on the perpetrator. But the deeper they dug, the more complicated the motive became. It wasn't just about a simple grudge or revenge, it was about something much darker, something no one had expected. The truth came to light when investigators uncovered a shocking connection between Jennifer and someone she had trusted deeply, her close friend, Lisa. Lisa, who had been there for Jennifer through thick and thin, had been hiding a deep, personal involvement in the very secret Jennifer had exposed. Lisa's ties to a corrupt business deal were at the heart of the truth Jennifer had shared, and in her desperation to protect herself, Lisa had orchestrated the fire that ultimately claimed Jennifer's life. The revelation rocked those who knew Lisa. Friends and family, who had always seen her as a caring, loyal person, were left in utter disbelief. The shock of betrayal was impossible to comprehend. Lisa had been Jennifer's confidant, the one person she had trusted with everything. And yet, it was Lisa who had chosen to silence her, to destroy the very woman who had always supported her. What drove Lisa to such extremes? What was so dark about Jennifer's truth that it warranted murder? As the investigation continued, those closest to the case could only wonder how deep the betrayal truly ran. As the case unfolds, the emotional fallout from Jennifer's death continues to ripple through her family and friends. The loss of someone so vibrant, so full of life, left a hole in the hearts of those who loved her. But beyond the grief, there were unanswered questions, questions that no one could seem to answer. How could someone so close to Jennifer, someone she trusted with her deepest secrets, betray her in such a horrific way? The pain of loss weighed heavily on her family. Jennifer's parents, unable to comprehend the brutality of the crime, struggled to come to terms with their daughter's death. She didn't deserve this, her mother said through tears in an interview. She just wanted to do good, to tell the truth. She didn't know the kind of danger she was in. The grief was palpable, but so was the sense of betrayal. Jennifer's loved ones were left to mourn not just her death, but the shocking truth of who had been behind it. As the investigation led to Lisa, the perpetrator, the legal process took center stage. The trial was tense, filled with raw emotion and courtroom drama. Lisa's defense painted a picture of someone caught in a desperate situation, but the prosecution was relentless, painting her as a cold-blooded murderer. In the end, the sentencing brought little comfort to Jennifer's family, as the justice they sought could never undo the pain. Jennifer's story isn't just a cautionary tale about the dangers of social media. It's a stark reminder that the price of truth can be higher than we ever imagine. In her quest to reveal a hidden injustice, Jennifer paid the ultimate price. Her death serves as a tragic reflection of how speaking out, even with the best intentions, can sometimes lead to devastating consequences. Was justice truly served when Lisa was sentenced? In many ways, yes, but justice feels hollow when a life is lost. No amount of legal action can bring Jennifer back or erase the pain her family and friends feel. Could Jennifer's death have been avoided? Could she have seen the danger lurking in the shadows, even from those she trusted? The answers are unclear, and the guilt that her loved ones carry may never fully dissipate. And don't forget to click the bell to stay notified of future episodes where we'll uncover more real-life crime stories, exploring the complexity of human nature and the consequences of our actions. Jennifer's story was just the beginning. Stay tuned, as we continue to delve into the unsettling reality of truth-telling gone tragically wrong.
Welcome to Shocking True Crime. Thanks to all our viewers and subscribers for your support. Stay with us for daily updates on the most shocking true crime stories. Don't forget to subscribe.